I still remember the judge's voice, soft as dust settling, yet it stilled the entire courtroom. My father stopped smiling. His attorney went pale. No one moved. The judge stared at a yellowed file sealed for decades, then lifted his eyes and spoke words that would fracture everything we had hidden. "Bailiff, lock the doors." But to understand why that moment mattered, I have to go back. My name is Eliza Carter, and I spent most of my life believing family meant loyalty. My mother believed it too. My father believed in something else entirely. Growing up outside Columbus, I was the inconvenient child. My younger brother Caleb was praised for mediocrity. My sister Hannah was adored for simply existing. I learned early that excellence earned me scrutiny, not love. When I brought home perfect grades, my father asked why they weren't better. When Caleb stumbled, he was comforted. I left home with little more than determination. I worked at a repair shop, built my skills, built a life. I married a kind man, David, and together we raised 2 children. We weren't wealthy, but we were steady, honest. I told myself that was enough. Then my mother died. Cancer took her slowly, and in those final months I stayed beside her while the rest of the family drifted in and out. A few weeks before the end, she squeezed my hand and whispered, "One day the truth will matter." I didn't understand. I wish I had. After the funeral, my father barely grieved. He met constantly with his attorney, Leonard Whitaker. Soon after, things shifted. Properties changed hands. Trusts were altered. Questions were deflected. Then came the letter removing me from the family trust entirely. When I confronted my father, he laughed. "Your mother isn't here anymore," he said. "Things change." Something in me broke, but something else hardened. I started digging. Records didn't align. Transfers made no sense. Shell entities appeared overnight. When I showed David, he asked quietly, "Do you think your mother knew?" I already did. I hired a small-town lawyer, Sarah Klein. She reviewed everything and said what no one else would. "This isn't right." So I filed suit. The fallout was immediate. Friends withdrew. Family cut contact. I became the woman suing her own father. Still, I pushed forward. 2 months later, while sorting my mother's old things, I found a cookbook. Inside it, an envelope with my name, her handwriting. My hands shook as I opened it. If you are reading this, I am gone. There are things I could never prove. If you need answers, contact Judge Harold Benson. Trust him. Love always. The next morning I called. Judge Benson remembered her. When I visited, he told me she had suspected documents were being altered. She had arranged for records to be sealed under court protection, hidden until needed. Hope flickered. We filed motions to access the archive. Weeks passed with nothing. The trial approached. Whitaker joined my father's defense, confident and polished. The trial itself felt like drowning. Slowly, witnesses praised my father. Caleb testified against me. I sat there listening, feeling erased again. Then on the final day, everything changed. A clerk entered with an old archive box. The judge examined it, opened a sealed envelope, and read in silence. Time stretched unbearably. Then he whispered, "My God." He questioned Whitaker about past filings. The attorney faltered. The judge's voice hardened as contradictions surfaced between protected records and later transfers. Then came those words again. "Bailiff, lock the doors." The room shifted. This was no longer a civil dispute. It was something else entirely. An emergency recess followed. Investigators arrived. Documents were reviewed. When proceedings resumed, the truth began to unravel. Whitaker had known. Emails showed it. He had reassured my father while ignoring legal protections. My father had trusted him blindly, or perhaps willingly. Caleb was recalled. Under pressure, he admitted he had seen inconsistencies, but chose not to question them. "I didn't want to know," he said, voice breaking. By the end of the week, an investigation was launched. Whitaker left in disgrace. The narrative that had protected my family for decades collapsed. The court later restored my share of the trust and invalidated fraudulent transfers. I should have felt victorious. Instead, I felt tired. Then Caleb called. He apologized. It wasn't enough to erase the past, but it was something real. Hannah reached out, too. We spoke about our mother, about simpler times. Slowly, cautiously, something began to mend. Months later, my father asked to see me. I didn't want to go, but I did. He looked smaller, diminished by time and truth. We sat in silence before he finally said, "I'm sorry." 3 words I had waited a lifetime to hear. We talked, really talked. He admitted his failures, his pride, his choices. Nothing erased the past, but the wall between us cracked. Not repaired, but broken open. Later we stood together at my mother's grave. I held her note, reading it again. The greatest thing she left me wasn't money, it was truth. Truth exposed the lies, but it also gave us a choice. To cling to resentment or to begin again. I'm still learning that second part. But I know this much. Without truth, nothing holds. And with it, even broken families can begin to heal.